by the strength of thy Holy Spirit, grant us a willingness to place service above personal gain and to respect our obligations of justice in our positions as members of the Council of the Town of Essex.
I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening, and those sitting in the warmth of their home also. Now declare the meeting open, and I'll ask if there's any conflicts of interest amongst the council members. No, thank you very much. We're looking for the adoption of the published agenda for Monday, February 17th, regular council meeting. Deputy Mayor Malage, Councillor Scott. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries. For the adoption of the minutes, Monday, January 27th, special council meeting. Councillors Bondi and Councillor Baker. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Monday, February 3rd, regular council meeting minutes adoption. Councillor Baker, Councillor Scott. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Monday, February 3rd, special council meeting. Councillor Scott and Deputy Mayor Malage. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Drop down to number 8, reports from administration, infrastructure and development, report number 14-01. Councillor Baker moves, supported by Councillor Scott. Any questions to the motion? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. B, planning report number 2014-03, Harrow Center Community Improvement Plan. With a recommendation. Councillor Baker, Councillor Bondi. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Correspondence, Fisheries and Oceans, Canada. Move, supported by Councillor Baker. Supported by Councillor Scott. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. B, the Town of Tecumseh Resolution, Small Rural and Northern Municipal Infrastructure Fund. Move and support. Supported by Councillor Bowen. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. C, Ministry of Citizenship and Immigration, Newcomer Champion Awards. Councillor Bondi moves. Supported by Deputy Mayor Malage. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. City of Windsor, Windsor-Essex County Environment Committee. Deputy Mayor Malage moves receipt and supported by Councillor Bowman. Questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. The United Townships of Head, Clara, and Maria, resolution on on-site sewage systems maintenance inspections. Councillor Baker. Move and support. Supported by Deputy Mayor Malage. Any questions? Deputy Mayor Malage.
This was something that I briefly touched upon with some of our administration. I was talking with them that at some point in time, and I think council was there as well when we were discussing this, but if the province moves in this direction, there's some real, could create some real issues with financing for rural community members, residents. Right now, when we have our sewage for anybody that lives in an urban setting, we have the ability to say, okay, we're going to finance the sewage treatment plant, and everybody will pay into that sewage treatment plant as we go along, or collect monies ahead of time to pay for that sewage treatment plant. But mostly it's pay for the sewage treatment plant and then collect the money afterwards. Well, with these individuals where their sewage or septic systems have to be replaced, can be anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000, $35,000 to have your septic system changed these days with the mandatories that the province put on new septic systems. So depending on the size that you have to have, et cetera, and the size of your yard and so on. So if now all of a sudden we're going to go to forcing our building inspectors to go around and look at septic systems and declare them inefficient or okay to continue to use or put an expiry date on them, there's going to be a lot of persons out there that in rural areas that maybe find hardship in trying to finance these new septic systems. So it's something that we need to be aware of, and I'm glad that this letter came from the United Townships of Head, Clara, and Maria to bring that issue to our attention. Something we need to be cognizant of. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Councillor Baker?
Yeah, just quickly, I mean, exactly what Councillor Deputy Mayor Melange said. It's really important for our area in terms of being able to look at the financial support. If certainly this program, if they're pushing towards that, and I can understand it, and I support that, but we need to have financial packages for our residents, much like we do when we are building new water treatment facilities and sewage facilities. So I definitely support that, and I think we need to obviously have our own resolution that comes through following this one in support. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anything further? Councillor Bondi?
Is it working? Okay. Just a question. We are just moving receipt of this, right? And support. Okay, because I like it, but the only thing I question is the rights of individuals, whereas I think it's the second paragraph, where the provincial government makes sweeping regulations and policies without giving appropriate consideration to specific locations and the effects of smaller municipalities are the rights of individuals. The rights of individuals, I would think, as a collective people, is the right for all of us to have water quality. And I'm not disagreeing that we should look to the province for cost savings and cost sharing, but I think the rights of individuals, I don't quite get that aspect of their motion. So if we are looking at making our own, I would like to see something else done with that, because I think collectively the rights of individuals means we have clean water, and I hate to say it, but septic systems, we all know that the best septic system isn't as good as sewers or a new septic system, and people that monitor their septic systems or take care of their septic systems. So I'm not sure I 100% agree with it. I agree with the principle and what they're trying to do. They're saying we can't enforce this without help, and I agree that we can't enforce this, and landowners are also having a hard time with the cost here. But I think the biggest right of an individual is access to quality, water quality.
Okay, thank you. Ready for the question? Oh, Councillor Baker and then Councillor Bowen.
Yeah, just supplementary to that, and I appreciate what you're saying, Councillor Bondi, and I agree with you. It is the right to have quality, but if those people who can't afford it, based on living in an area we can't supply a sewage system, I mean, it is also us collectively in a community, our rights to help them if we can get the money from the province so that we do have clean water. I think we have to look at the balance of this, so that's really important. It is our right, everybody's right to have clean water, but sometimes it's not equitable. So that's why we have to try to make it that way.
Councillor Bowman?
Yeah, really, I think it's to make the province take a good look at this proposal coming down the pipe, because we got a glimpse of it in Harrow this past year with the sewer that we extended. The great part is there we were able to do that, and you can't do that in every place. So you're going to be putting in many sewage systems or that kind of thing to address it. And I'm sure the province didn't look at the ramifications on this, because if they had them, they would have done something else, because in effect they're trying to download it on the local municipality when they say, and it's for us to enforce. Well, in some ways you are infringing on people's rights, because you've had that right to do it for some length of time under a system that was approved. So now we're changing their thing, and we know that the various ministries can come in and put orders on the municipality to do something. So until we get some clarification and some ideas on long-term effect of what this policy is going to do to our rural areas. It could be a huge problem, not so much for the province, but for us. And I think that's the real fear.
Thank you, sir. Anything further? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. F, Committee of Adjustment Agenda, February 18th, 2014. Councillor Baker, Councillor Vokes, any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Municipality of Greenstone, resolution opposing the requalification of municipal building officials. Councillor Bundy, Councillor Baker, any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Committee meeting minutes. Finance Committee, February 3rd, 2014. Councillor Vokes moves, supported by Councillor Bondi. Councillor Vokes.
In the Finance Committee minutes, understood that Thank you, Councillor Bondi. In the Finance Committee minutes, it's understood that we're only going to be given $10,800 to the youth center. 10,200, thank you, Councillor Bondi, to the youth center in Essex.
Finance recommendation, yes, sir.
And I'm trying to, can somebody clarify for me how we ended up at that number? Such a reduced amount from the 28,000 they were asking for. And then I know at one time we did have some boardroom discussions that talked to around $20,000 consideration, and now we're down to 10,200. And the truth is that the youth center won't be able to sustain itself on that type of funding. But I do recognize that it's obviously not solely the responsibility of the municipality to maintain them, but I thought the contribution would be a little more significant than that.
Deputy Mayor Malash.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll take the question because I'm chair of the Finance Committee and was involved in the discussion. So generally, at the very first year where we financed the Essex Youth Center when the financing stopped, I think from the Trillium grant perhaps, they were in desperate need in that year, and we had normally not financed youth centers at all at that point in time. That was a provincial responsibility. But we knew that the youth center needed an infusion of cash immediately because they did not know that Trillium grant was going to end. Council of the day, and Councillor Vokes, Randy, you were there too, so you know how this came about. But we said that we can't continue to finance your operations forever and a day. We want you to be able to either streamline your operation or find funds from another source. We will continue to help you out for the next couple of years, but at some point in time we need to have you weaned from the grant applications from Town Council. So looking at that, we realized that each year from that point forward they were requesting additional money, not less money. And so to sort of force the issue, we started Council of the Day, and this is the previous term of Council, I believe, determined that we should be backing off the dollars that we were giving them. And we started off at, I think it was 10% reduction each year, and we've gone to, I think this is 20%. And going so much so that, and the youth center should have been expecting that this was going to happen, because for the last 2 years, as part of the reply that we sent to the Essex Youth Center based on their request, was that we're going to give you this money this year, but know that we're going to continue to reduce your grant monies by 20% going forward until you're totally weaned from the grant system. from the town of Essex. With that in mind, the first year that we told them that we gave them the grant request that they had wished, we didn't deduct in the 1 year, and we said next year we're going to start this reduction. So we even gave them time to be able to adjust to that reduction. In many instances, it's difficult for an organization to operate if they have no advanced knowledge that they're going to lose the funding. But if you know that you're going to lose the funding, then you have to make some adjustment to your operation, or you have to find funds from somewhere else. And for the last 2 years now, we've done that. We've tried to prepare them for this decrease that we were going to present them with. And I think for that reason, the committee at that time felt obligated to continue on with the reduction based on what we're doing with, we have another youth center, and they're adhering to that plan as well. They understand that that's what we're trying to do. And we really do hope that the operation can survive. And we're hoping that at some point in time, the province will step in and say, hey, look, this is ridiculous. These youth centers need money. And that's where they should be funded from. That's traditionally where they've been funded from, not out of property tax-based monies, but out of provincially funded money. So that was the discussion that was held with the Finance Committee. All of us regretted that we had to move in that direction, but we felt that in the end, that we had to go in that direction. So that's basically the discussion that took place.
I appreciate everything you're saying, and, you know, and obviously part and parcel to it. I agree to some of it, but obviously the youth centers in, you know, it's no secret they're in a financial dilemma, and the truth is the committee that represents the youth centers is in their full awareness. Without some type of financial support, the youth center won't make it through 2014. What I'm going to ask council, if they could, and I don't know if I have to do it through a motion, is I'm going to ask council if they will consider increasing that $10,200 by $4,800, bringing it to $15,000, which is $1,000 less, I believe, we gave in the 2013 budget. I think that's where we stand with that. Did we not give $16,000 last year?
12,800.
Last year we gave 12,800. So anyways, with that being said, is if we could get that up to 15,000, I've lobbied, I've worked with Local 444 and Unifor. There's a willingness from Unifor to contribute to the youth center, you know, recognizing obviously that they're part and parcel to our community. So if I could get that up to 15,000 from the 10,200 with the contribution from Unifor, we may be able to get through 2014. So I'm asking council for consideration of that.
If I may, Councillor Vokes, we have a motion on the floor. We'll have to vote on that first.
Okay.
And then you can bring your motion
Okay.
forward.
Is there a
Receive
motion?
and support.
Okay. Well, then we can-
That this be, Schedule A and B be approved.
I didn't know it as a motion.
Yep. So is there any further discussion with regards to the recommendation from the Finance Board? Okay, you can amend the motion.
Then,
Councillor Vokes.
yeah, thank you. Then
Okay.
I will make a friendly amendment to change the motion to change the youth center contribution to 15,000.
Okay, we need a seconder now. Councillor Bowen, support. And you'd like to comment, Councillor Bowen?
The youth center did come in on an original when the complex was built, and supplied a lot of the funds up front, so we didn't actually have to build their facility. So, I mean, if the unit fails, we end up with the property back at some point. So I'll support the motion because I think it's important to keep going.
Councillor Bondi.
Thank you. If we're looking at giving an additional grant to the Essex Youth Center, I think it should be an emergency one-time grant, that that's a standalone grant from the $10,240. I also feel that we need to look at a sustainability plan for the Essex Youth Center, because there's no guarantee at this point today that we have a youth center functioning for the remainder of 2014. I also feel like we're opening a can of worms if we do this, because considering that the Youth and Family Resource Network access is only asked for $10,240, I feel like we could be opening that can of worms to go back to that youth center. Because if you look at the big picture of that youth center, the town of Essex was giving them real estate, and which has some value, whether it's $8,000, $9,000 in a year. And so we cut that because we had to for real estate reasons, and now we've only given them $10,240. So we've cut the Harrow Youth Center a lot more technically than 20%, because they're not using town real estate anymore. So I feel like it's a slippery slope here. I'm not against having this discussion, but I think we need to see something else, like a sustainability plan with regards to the Essex Youth Center. I think there's some things up in the air there, and I'd like to grant them today the $10,240, let the dust settle, and then come back to it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Baker?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I too have along the same lines feeling as Councillor Bondi. This mandate in terms of our direction, we approved this last year, and actually 2 years ago now, that we were looking at these particular organizations, and that to keep our budget in line and prudent, we were reducing by 20% per year, and they were put on notice for it. They were all aware of it. And while I understand there is a situation, I'm really have a hard time with this, because I know they're in need of this, but they're also certainly in need of being able to look at their own organization, and as I understand, there may be some other money coming forward. At this time, again, if we do this, then we are having other organizations who have stuck to what we've asked them to do, and we will be opening this up. We need to be strong and stay by our mandate for the situation. Now, that doesn't mean that some kind of volunteer stuff can happen, get out there and do some campaigns with them, but I think it has to be done from the fundraising point of view, and maybe some restructuring. So for that reason, I cannot support the additional amount.
Sir, anyone further? Okay, Councillor Vogt, I can let you be last because you have made, no, can he be last? Yeah, okay. I'll go to Deputy Mayor Malash, come back to you last.
Sure, that's fine.
Deputy Mayor Malash.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. A good point from Councillor Bondi. I would be in support of the idea, but as a separate grant, to bring it up to the 15,000. But I want to be reassured that if we give that money, that Local 444 is truly subsidizing the balance that would keep them going. Is it just something that's being talked about right now, or
No.
is it something that's...
I'm telling you, Local 444 will come to the plate with some financial support, that the way we, recognizing the way we meet as a committee and what our financial needs are, that will alleviate some of those financial strains.
to keep it viable for 2014?
If I can get this, and if I could, which is really part of my closing comments, if I could talk to that, you won't have to come back to me.
So I would suggest then that I'd be in favor but it hinges on support from Local 444.
That's fine. If the motion reads, if the motion was to read under the understanding that Local 444 contributes, then if not, then it's null and void, which will solidify the fact that I'm going to get the money tonight to keep the youth center going.
Okay. Thank you, Your Worship.
of order for Councillor Baker.
So are we amending that motion? Because the motion sounds like it has a different dimension to it, subject to additional funding. Is this new? Is this an amendment to the motion?
I don't care, to be quite frank with anybody here, how it's worded, as long as it's understood with this council that there's a willingness, assuming that Unifor Local 444 is making a financial contribution to give a affirming amount of total of $15,000 as opposed to the $10,200. And if not, then that monies won't be there. It'll go back to the 10-2. Because I know for a fact they're going to contribute.
My question would be to the clerk. How do we handle this? Do we make another addendum to the
Can we
motion?
table it?
or-
Can we table it, and then I will get a endorsement that the funding is there, and I will submit that to, I will get Dave Cassidy, the financial secretary, to send a letter to the Corporation Town of Essex and to the youth center that says that Local 444 Unifor is going to be contributing a financial amount that will help sustain them in the their 2014 budget year.
So that's a motion to table.
That's fine.
You can't make that.
No, that's just a table, just so you know the reason for tabling it.
Yeah, so you haven't made the motion to table.
Then I'll make a motion to table the financial committee, that portion of the financial committee minutes.
Okay. Councillor Bondi, support?
I need a second.
Right. We need a seconder.
Once it's tabled, that's it.
And no discussion. That's right. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a seconder? We need a seconder, and then there's no discussion. So if we don't get a seconder, the motion is off the table. No one to second.
I'll second.
Okay. So, that's it. No more discussion. Councillor Vokes is going to bring this information back to council, to administration. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Now we're holding all the finance committee minutes?
Everybody else gets held up. This is not.
It's already been done. I thought it was. Chair just...
Yeah, we haven't voted yet, but,
Can I ask for a recorded vote, please?
yes, sir.
What's a big deal? Oh, my God.
Because we're holding all of these grants, and the second part of the grant's
No,
gonna
tomorrow,
come.
this
The second part, not here tomorrow. The second part of the grant.
Councillor Bowen?
Emergency grant, so we can't put it in this grant.
That's correct.
The second part needs to
Yep.
come as emergency.
Who cares?
Or it gets lump sum.
The motion is that the minutes from the February 3rd Finance Committee meeting be tabled, and that any recommendations are also tabled at this time. Councillor Vokes requested a recorded vote. Councillor Vokes?
Support.
Councillor Scott? Councillor Bowman? Councillor Baker? Deputy Mayor Milosh?
Opposed?
Mayor McDermott?
Opposed?
Councillor Bondi?
Opposed.
With a recorded vote of 6 opposed and 1 in favor, the motion is defeated.
I have Councillor Bowman and then Councillor Baker.
I would move that the portion in the report referring to the Essex Youth Center be referred back to the Finance Committee. I think that's considered a new motion, to discuss the additional funding.
Second.
Councillor Baker seconds. Questions to the motion? Councillor Bondi?
Balance gets approved.
Yeah.
Just a comment. I still think we should grant the Essex Youth Center the $10,240, and then if we come back, the second part of the grant, if we grant them $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000, that is an additional grant, an emergency, one-time only grant. This way, it doesn't look like we gave them $15,000 this year. Then we go forward giving them $20,000 off that $15,000. I think I did talk to Donna Hunter about this, and it just makes it clear and concise. And then if we have a matching relationship with Unifor, then we say, you know, we're willing to give $3,000 more. Are you willing to give $3,000 more? I think we should move the entire Finance Committee minutes and recommendations, and then come back to the Essex Youth Center. That's just my 2 cents.
I'll take that as a friendly amendment, because I think it works.
Okay. Seconder? Supports? Any questions? Councillor Bowen?
Donna, to say, yes, we can do this through an emergency grant in Unifor?
Well, we don't need Donna's approval. We need the Unifor recommendation, like
So you want me
what
to
they're
get some,
giving,
you want me to get something from Dave?
and then
Darcy?
it'll come to the Finance Committee for us
Okay,
to
that's
make
fine.
a motion back to
I'll have
council.
I'll have that tomorrow.
Okay. Councillor Baker?
Thank you. Just for clarity, for my mind and everybody else's, what we're doing now is we're passing this as is with requested from the Finance Committee, requested grants that'll go forward. Any additional for the Youth Center has to be a separate proposal altogether for additional amounts, depending on whatever comes out as a proposal. You're working on a proposal, we'll take a look at it at that time. Right now, it's clean. We're passing this grant as per this year. They will still get their $10,240. If there is any additional amounts, it'll have to be a proposal that's put forward.
I'm sorry, if there's any additional amounts, what?
It's separate.
It'll be brought, put forward.
Just what you want.
So we're right back to the original motion. That's what this is all about. Now, okay, last
I
change.
just got to say one thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's very bothersome to me when I look around at this council, and this is a guy right here asking, almost begging, for a few bucks to keep the youth center open, and it only hinges on the fact that I can solidify the fact that Local 444 is going to give some money. What a shame.
Now, I have the wrap-up words, okay? This is the last one. We did this, as Deputy Mayor Meloche stated, back 5 years ago, and we, since then, have set down the guidelines. We do it every week, you know, in some area of the municipality, and I'd be damned if I'm going to vote to change the rules that we've made. You know, I mean, I'll be darned if I'm going to change things in midstream. Nobody worries more about that youth center than I do, or any of us. Like, we're all the same. We're for these people. But we've got rules out there, and we're going to go by them. Like Deputy Mayor said, gee, surely they can't do things. Like, we've got a group of people out here looking for money from the town for something else, and they've raised $35 in 2 or 3 months. You know, like, how serious are they? We got another group that's raised $7,000 in that same time. Like, those people, why can't we do this with the youth center? Like, have them come around to us and say, hey, can't we all get on board and everybody do a little thing, you know? We've got the rules there. We've got a recommendation from the Treasury Department. Stick to your guns, and rightly so. Now, if we change this down the road, all well and good, but I'm in favor of doing what we've said we were going to do for the last 5 years, so... Call the question. All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, B, Colchester Village Fest Committee, December the 2nd, 2013. Move receipt. Councillor Baker supports. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. C, Communities in Bloom Committee, November 26, 2013 meeting. Deputy Mayor Meloche, supported by Councillor Bondi. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Bylaw number 1291, being a bylaw to appoint an animal control officers as municipal law enforcement officers for the town of Harrow. Oh.
Should be Essex.
I'm just reading it. For the town of Essex, okay. How did we miss that one the other day? Okay. Councillor Bowen moves, supported by Councillor Baker. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Bylaw number 1292, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the February 17th regular meeting council for the corporation of the town of Essex. Councillor Baker, supported by Councillor Bowen. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Financial new business, Councillor Vokes, Mega Hospital.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm actually glad that the meeting was in short term tonight to give us some opportunity to talk about the mega hospital. I want to talk to council about how it rolled out today and how this all come about. When you look at the breakdown, I guess, of the staging process of the mega hospital and what it's going to take to get that hospital put into our region, from what I understand, and it's only from what I understand, there's a stage 1 process and then a stage 1B process. And to my surprise, and I say to my surprise, I ultimately had discovered that the stage 1 process through the committee or through the province or whoever is meeting on it had approved that. And that was approved, from my understanding, in late October, early November. And then the next step is a step or a stage B process, which in terms of getting it together, and you got to understand, this is only what I know of it, because the truth is I think it's really irresponsible, and I think it's really unfortunate that the committee in structure who sits and has those discussions on the launching, if you will, of the mega hospital has not kept collectively councillors in our region up to stride directly as to what's going on. One would suggest it's in the paper, but to my knowledge, I wasn't aware of it. So what I did understand was that we were heading to a stage B, or the second part, which talks about the size of the hospital and the location of the hospital, better known as the Greenfield site. So when I had heard that, I was aware of the opportunity with where the Mady development is, where the Hearn Group is in joint venture with them, at the corner of number 3 bypass and County Road 8, that there would be or could be opportunity for that hospital to go there, in my views and my thoughts. So then I said to myself, well, what I want to do then is I want to talk to my colleagues on council to get support to bring it forward to the province and bring it forward to the committee, that I would like to believe that we as a council in the town of Essex, recognizing our economic concerns, we as a council of the town of Essex would have an interest in obviously working with the province and working with that committee if it deemed so or was opportunity to get the hospital put there. And that's why you will see, obviously tonight, that I was on the agenda to speak to that. I took opportunity to do some homework so I would have some of the questions answered. I talked to the Mady Group or Mady Development. They obviously would have an interest. I talked to the Hearn Group. They obviously have an interest. And then with that being said, knowing that the real estate was there based on their views, because it was kind of redundant to come here and ask council to say they're going to be moving to the next stage, I found it kind of redundant to talk to council about it, because outside of that piece of real estate, there are no opportunities nowhere in Essex at this place in time. But that particular parcel of land is is ready and willing and able, if you will, as we speak today. So I thought, well, I'll have the discussions with council, hear them out, and see what we could collectively do to try to get a positive understanding with whoever the powers are to say, not to say you have to put it there, but to say, in light of everything that's going on, we're open for business. And we want you to know that in the early terms of that. And I still have a motion that I'm going to put forward tonight, irrelevant to what directions these discussions go, that say that. Irrelevant to the process. Now here's where the shame comes in at. The shame comes in at this, that really, and so one will say, there's going to be a few pipe up here and say, well, I knew that, I knew that, well, I knew that, and maybe you did. But the vast majority of this council and other councillors I had the opportunity to talk to outside of this council had no idea of the current position of that hospital. Nobody. Because when I look around this room, I would suggest to you there might be a couple, but the vast majority didn't. And why that is happening is beyond me. Because we represent not only this town, we represent this region. And the committee, in the form of Dave Mouchy and Dave Cook and whoever else is sitting on that committee, they owe it to us. They owe it to the town of Essex, and they owe it to the Essex County region. And I've seen the letter today, the email today that talked about that, well, from the county, help me out. Is it Bateman, Mr. Bateman?
Brian Gray.
Brian Gray. He apparently has received some indicators from the structure, from the committee for the mega hospital, that this is where we are with it. I never got nothing. I never seen nothing personally in an email to Randy Vokes as a council representing the people in the town of Essex that says, here's where we are with the mega hospital, just so you know. Just so you know. Maybe we don't count, but I like to believe we do. So let's assume Randy Vokes knew that. Would Randy Vokes be here tonight asking the council to support the mega hospital going to County Road in number 8? I probably still would be. I probably still would be. But I may have changed the approach of it. I may have changed the approach. I think it's a shame that it wasn't the only way we found out today the current and up-to-date status of that mega hospital is because Lynn Martin this morning talked about it as a result of Rob Hindy called me yesterday as a result of it being on the agenda. It's a hell of a way to get the wheels turning. And everybody's going to have their views here, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, nobody knew what was going on. I got one interest. I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't need permission from anybody in this room to do anything. I got one interest. And my interest is taking care of the town of Essex. And my interest is taking care of that deplorable condition downtown. And if it means lobbying and speaking up before everybody else to get a hospital in this town, I'll do that. I don't care who I offend, and I don't care who is questioning what I'm doing. And I'm going to continue to carry that torch. So I'm going to leave it at that. But I like to believe this council will support it too. Because go look at that downtown. That hospital will be the end of our economic woes. It would be. And if we lose at the end of the lobbying for it, we lose. But let's try. And if it means sending that first flag up, then we'll send that first flag up. And and one would say to me, well, that's not the protocol. There's a step to follow, and the committee's going to let everybody know. Well, the committee hasn't done a very good job so far letting people know what's going on. So I'm not going to wait for them. I'm telling you right now, I want council to support the fact that we send something to the province, that committee, that we have an interest in getting that hospital in the town of Essex. Thank you.
Okay, I could turn this over to Mr. Phillips, and he'd do a much better job than I would, but I'm prepared to say a few things as the mayor. We all know what's going on there. You know, there's a mega hospital coming. We all have the opportunity to ask administration or each other, do you know anything about this? Like Councillor Baker works in the hospital area. You know, he might know something about it. So I'd go to him, or I'd ask Russ, who is talking with the CEO for the county, the same Brian Gregg, who sits on that committee looking at getting this mega hospital in our area. Brian Gregg sits there, and they have their monthly meetings. He discusses it with Russ monthly. Anybody wants to know anything about it, whatever he knows, he can pass it on. I sat in a meeting with Mr. Mouchy a couple months ago, I guess it was November, and they told us, we want to keep this low-keyed, we don't want everybody in all the municipalities getting involved, because there's a lot of work to be done here, and we don't need 50 people, saying this, saying that. So they have a committee, they'll keep us up to date on how things are moving ahead, So, and yes, they're waiting for step B, which is they'll send out, RFPs for whoever wants to have it in their area and everything else. They'll have what they need, the size and everything else. So that's where we are. And like, we all saw the notices today from Mr. Mushi. I would hope that we would pay attention to what he's asking us to do, and let it happen the way it's supposed to happen. It's been set out to happen. Now, Randy, you say you can do anything that you want. You don't have to listen to us. Maybe some things, but there's a lot of things you can't do. We do it as a council here. Like, it sounded to me on the radio this morning that we've got that property already. I don't think it's ready. You say that we have it. I don't know that Mr. Mady says we can have it. That's not our property. So I don't know how you can say we've got it. The town of Essex has got it. I'm not aware that he said, oh yeah, we can give that to the hospital. You tell me that the hospital committee hasn't informed you. Well, you haven't informed us. Like, we don't know what you're talking about on the radio today except what you're saying. If you had to come to us and says, hey, we can do this or that, he'd have probably said something, and maybe you wouldn't have been on the radio. I don't know if you'd have been on the radio or not if you'd have talked to the CAO. And if you did it on your own, that's fine. But if you're speaking for council, that's a no-no,
Your worship,
Okay.
I went on record with AMA 100, and I said very clearly to AMA 100, and that man can get it for you. I said very clear, this is not the views of my council, it's only the views of myself.
Okay.
It is not the position of the council representing the town of Essex, it's only the views of Councillor Randy Volks.
Okay. So I must have missed that, and hopefully everybody else out there heard it, So, now you're making a motion. Okay, we'll let you make that motion. I should just ask Russ if there's anything I missed that he would like to, okay. Oh,
So I'm just going to make a comment. We all received today the documents that were attached for the phases in the process, which everybody, and this is public knowledge and everybody is aware of it. It is on their site to look at. And there's a lot of processes, a lot of stages that this is going through. And by all means, I understand your passion. Everybody's passionate. Certainly this has been on the sidewalk for some time. It's not new. Yes, that location has some definite benefits for a lot of things. Industrial development. I know the mayor and our CEO have been sitting with Mr. Hearn on other things with regards to that property. So there's been a lot of discussion there. What we have to go through right now, what we're at right now is a new process in terms of the Agnew Pectum, which is a community report. This is going to look at every community within the county in terms of feasibility of being able to move services out of hospital, what could be moved out of hospital in communities. Communities may have more benefit than just a hospital, by the way. There may be opportunities where full outside services will be in communities in addition to hospital. So there's other opportunities that we could look at in terms of this region, this area. So we're not going to be down till stage 4. Stage 4 is when Infrastructure Ontario gets in and when the whole architectural plans have been put forward. There's a lot of work to do. It's great. We all have a great chance. We all have opportunity to put in those proposals at the appropriate time. And I think what this council needs to do is know what our strategies are relative to any of our properties and not just flag it out there for public consumption and let's have a poll. The polls didn't look good today, by the way. So in terms of that discussion, what we need to do as a council is work together on strategy and look at this so that we can collectively move forward and look at opportunities. We do have great opportunities in Essex Centre, as we do in our other areas, and that's what we need to do collectively. So when it comes to the right stage, we should be ready, prepared for it. Let's not show our cards way ahead of time until we are ready. That property is certainly not assembled. Even though you've had discussions, it is not officially assembled, it is not rezoned. So those are the processes I have to go through. That certainly is what we should all do and look at what the right process is.
thank you, sir. Councillor Vokes?
I just want to go on record that nobody assumed the property's ready to go, nor am I suggesting the property's ready to go. None of it's ready to go. My only intention is to say we have an interest, and we can work on getting it ready to go. So anyways, with that being said, I would like to put a motion forward that reads that when the time is fitting, the town of Essex is giving advance notice of a significant interest of the opportunity to have the suitable real estate and geographical positioning for the mega hospital. I can get that to you later, Cheryl, if council wants me to read it again.
Can you read it again?
I will.
Please.
I just want to put a motion forward that when the time is fitting, recognizing the process that it's got to go through, that the town of Essex is given advance notice of significant interest of the opportunity to have the suitable real estate and positioning for the geographic positioning for the mega hospital. And I would like to send that obviously to the committee of the mega hospital and to Therese Briz's office. And it does nothing, people, but suggest to them and it sends a signal to the people we represent. It's not intruding on what they're doing. It's just kind of a saying, we're ready. We have a willingness. Please understand that in advancement. That's all we're doing. We're not trying to intervene with what they're doing. We're just asking, we can accommodate.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Malash supports. Supported by Deputy Mayor Malash. Questions? Councillor Baker, one. Okay. We've been discussing this a lot, so once to the motion. We have a motion. Yep. Once to the motion. Yes, sir.
Speak to the motion. Yep. So, first of all, I don't understand what the motion says. It's
Mike.
certainly,
Maybe better. I certainly don't understand what the motion says. It's pretty nebulous. It doesn't have any grounding. There have been proposals out there already floated to different committees. There's real estate groups, there's development groups who are putting these packages together and throwing it to committee. Anybody can do that, but you need to have a plan, first of all. So, I don't understand what the motion says. When the appropriate time comes in stage 4, when we're there, we should certainly be involved, absolutely. But this motion, I don't know what it means, so I can't support it.
Councillor Bondi and then Deputy Mayor Malash.
Even though this motion isn't my idea, I understand it. What it's saying is that, hey, we're here, pick us, we're willing to work with you right from the get-go. Even though it's not my idea, it's Councillor Vokes' idea. You know, we're not all experts on all different things. Healthcare might be somebody's expert, animal welfare might be somebody's expert, trail. We don't have eyes and ears on every single topic in the county. We don't have great communication amongst council members, believe it or not. So you know what? You picked this up, you brought it to our attention, thank you. We need to have this conversation. The motion does no harm. It's not my idea. I don't think it's yours either, Councillor Baker, but I certainly support where the motion is going. Just saying we're here, we want to talk to you, we think we're the best. We may not be at the end, but we're here. And if we can make it happen, we'll make it happen. And if we can't, we can't. We want what's best for the people in the town of Essex, but not what's just best for us, what's best for Essex County. I believe that's where you're getting at. And you know, we feel we're best for Essex County. Of course we do. But at the end of the day, after all the studies are done, we may not be. But I think it's like doing a CIP to get a business like EnterQuest. Similar. But this time, it's Councillor Vokes' idea. And you know what? I thank you for your idea today.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Malash?
Thank you, through you, your worship. I too think it's a great idea. I've been to a couple of the open houses, and they came to county council. Both the mayor and myself expressed to the committee that if they were looking for county dollars to support this, as they were looking for City of Windsor dollars to support the whole megamation, hospital megamation, if they were looking for dollars from the county, that hospital better darn well be accessible to a majority of the residents of the county. We don't want to see it on the riverfront, furthest point away from the county. So it would have to be some place that would be very accessible to county residents. I did mention at the open house as well that Essex would be a terrific spot if you were looking for a place in the county. But I think this is great. Maybe we should be putting something formal together. I don't know if perhaps you would look at, rather than just sending it out to them, just a general letter, of having administration review it to see whether or not there's perhaps a package we could put together that would make even a better marketing tool to try and convince them that this would be the best place. Because I do think this is the best place. Essex is the best place to put it. We are very central, and now I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but I had heard unofficially, and I don't know how true it is at this point in time, that that mega hospital was going to be built in Dwight Duncan's riding, previous riding. So
That don't surprise me.
yeah, unofficially, I heard that. But perhaps now that Percy Hatfield's there, maybe the Liberal government's not so concerned whether it's in that riding. So perhaps we can maybe make a difference here by sending something to the committee. But I'm just wondering if it should be a more organized letter of some sort going to them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
If I could talk to that just briefly.
Councillor Vokes, you're going to have the last word.
Thank you.
Like you're going to talk. No, you're going to have the
Okay.
last word, okay?
Sure.
So I have three of us. If we want to make a comment or not, if you don't, just say no. Mr. Scott, Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't know the motion, if it seems too wordy to me, it's vague, that's why I don't like it, but I understand your intent. And I think there's no one that disagrees with the fact, wouldn't we love to have a mega hospital in our town? But I certainly like Deputy Mayor Malash's version, let's be strategic and smart about it. I think if we're just passionate and yelling and screaming, that's going to get minimal attention for a couple days, but that'll wane. I think let's be smarter about it. For that reason, I'm not going to support that. But I will be prepared to support an additional motion that's more the intent of, yes, this is what we want to do, but here's how we want to do it, and let's get some help with it. Again, hearing things on the radio the first time often shocks me, but it shouldn't shock me anymore. I should be immune to that by now. But I appreciate the passion, and who doesn't want it here? I don't think anyone disagrees with that, but I'd rather be smart about it than just loud about it, if that makes sense.
Councillor Bowen, any comments?
Just briefly, I think it's appropriate to send out some message that we are interested. Which form you take, it doesn't matter whether it's prepared by the management or not. If you remember back a number of years ago for that same piece of property, we talked about the new jail for the province, and we found out after the fact it's a political process, not a geographical process. So there's always that portion that we have to deal with as it goes along, and I don't think there's a problem of putting it out that we are interested, and at least it opens the book that we are open.